of our family at North Point Community Church. We really adopted the school. We partnered with Tanya in so many ways. And she asked me to come today just to speak to you because here's what I know. I know you got 3 more days. Okay, go ahead. Everybody needs a good break. So, hey, I just want to take just a little bit of time today. I believe I want to share some things. They're going to be practical and helpful to you. Things that will help you finish out these 3 days and help you finish out 2018, maybe even in your own personal life, and then really launch you into 2019 in the way that you really want to start that year. But I understand that this year is the year of fear. The year of fear, right? The year of fear. Face everything and rise. Face everything and rise. And, you know, I love that because I love talking to people who want to rise. I love talking to people who want to go to the next level. I love talking to people who don't want to settle for the status quo. People who do not want to say, well, that's good enough, because good enough is never good and it's never enough. And so I love talking to people that say, hey, I'm ready to rise above our challenges, rise above our difficulties, rise above what we're facing, rise above our challenges. And I know that that is who you are because you chose to sit in the seat that you're sitting in. You knew the challenges that teachers would face, and you still chose to sit in this seat. You knew what you would be going through, and yet you still chose to sit in the seat that you're in today. And so I know that not only do you want to rise, but I know you want to see other people rise. I know you want to see your students rise and go to the next level. And so I'm really excited about talking about this concept, this year of fear, this face everything and rise. You know, facing everything is going to require something out of each and every one of us, and that's honesty. Because if you face everything, it means you got to see something. It means you can't walk around and act like nothing's wrong. We have no problems here. We have no issues in our classroom. None of my students are going through any challenges at home. Hey, there's nothing to see here, right? And everything, it means you got to see something. And when you see something, it means that we have to be honest about what we see. We have to be honest about the fact that our students have some challenges at home. We got to be honest about the fact that academically they might be a little behind. We got to be honest about the fact that we have our own sets of problems, right? We have our own sets of problems in our family, our own sets of problems in our finances, our own sets of problems in our attitudes. We have our own things to deal with, and we have to be honest about where we are. But I want you to know that you can be honest about where you are and still rise. Many people don't want to be honest, and here's the thought, is if I'm really honest about where I am or where my students are, that can be depressing. But it's not actually depressing, it's actually a part of progressing. You see, because honesty says you are here. Remember, you used to go to the old school mall, right? You had to go to the directory, right? You had to go to find out, because you're looking for the little red dot. The little red dot said, you are here. You are here. Because I know where I want to go, but if I don't know where I am, I can't get to where I want to go. And so I have to be honest about the difficulty, honest about the challenges, honest about the adversity, honest about my lack, honest about my intimidation. I have to be honest about all of these things because it's not depressing to be honest. It's part of me progressing in my life, because this is what I've learned about every progress. Every progress demands process. And part of the process to our progress starts with us being honest about where we are. Honest about what we are facing. You see, if you're going to face everything, you got to see something. And what you see, we've got to be honest about. Because if we're not honest about it, we'll never rise above it. If we can't be honest about what we see, if we can't be honest about what's in front of us, if we can't be honest about what we feel, if we can't be honest about what we're afraid of, if we cannot be honest about what our kids are going through, if we cannot be honest about it, then there's no reason to finish the rest of that acronym or acrostic, whatever you call it. And you can't finish that thing because we don't need to worry about rising because we're not even facing it. We've got to be honest about it. And if we're willing to be honest and face it and enter into a process, then we can experience the progress that we all want to have. Because you can face everything and still rise. You can face everything in your life and still rise above it. Say, but you don't know what I'm going through. You don't know what I've been through. No, but you know what? I've heard so many stories of people that have been through things that they had no business rising above it, and they rose above it, and every one of them will tell you it started with me being honest about where I was. Started with me being honest about my attitude, started about me being honest about my perspective, about my attitude, and what I dreamed about and what I thought was possible. That's what they will all tell you. You see, if this is going to be the year of fear for you personally, for your classroom, yeah, you have to face everything. But when you face everything with honesty, it doesn't mean that you have to stay there. It's actually where it all begins. It's not the end, it's the beginning. You can face everything and rise above it. How do you face everything and rise above it? What is that going to take? See, there's some things that you have to reframe, because this is what we find ourselves in, and we just have to reframe some of the things in our life, because whatever happens to us, we say, well, that happened to me, but you can reframe it and say, no, that actually happened for me. It didn't happen to me, it happened for me, because if that would not have happened, I would not be who I am today. We all have those experiences in our life. Things that we can go back and say, well, I mean, what do you say? I wouldn't have wished that would ever happen to anybody, but it happened. But as long as we say that happened to me, we remain a victim. But when we say that happened for me, now I put myself in the seat of power, and I get to change the story. Why? I just reframe it. You can say one thing about I have to go to work, or you can say I get to go to work. It's all about how you frame it, and how you frame it will determine how you live it. If I have to go to work, then I'm going to come in someday. I just have to be here. If I have to be here, I'm going to be here, but I'm not going to be here maximizing my moment. But if I wake up every day and say, I get to go to work, and I get to teach students, and I get to mold their lives, and I get to influence them, and I get to be a voice, and I get to give them hope, and I get to give them a dream, and I get this opportunity, and I have this opportunity every day, reframing it changes everything. Do I have to do it, or do I get to do it? You see, some of us have experienced failure in our life. Well, your failure is all about how you frame it. The problem with too many people is they frame failure as a tombstone. They think it's over, it's done. It's the tombstone, it's what will bury me. But other people see failure as their stepping stone. It's all about how you frame it. See, what buries others can actually cause you to elevate. What finishes others can actually be a brand new beginning in your life. It's all about how you frame it. Is it your tombstone, or is it your stepping stone? And so whenever it comes to rising above whatever you are facing, whatever you are dealing with, whatever is going on in your classrooms and in the lives of your students, it's all about how you frame it and how you help them frame their lives. How are we going to reframe some things? How are we going to reframe it? Every bit of reframing starts with a positive mindset. Every bit of reframing that we have to do, and we have to do it a lot. We have to reframe a lot of things. How do we reframe? We reframe everything with a positive mindset. A positive mindset. Let me just give you a quick definition of the word mindset. Mindset is this: established set of attitudes held by someone. That's your mindset. Your established set of attitudes held by someone. You see, your mindset is what sets the direction of your life. I love what Craig Rochelle says. He's a leadership guru, and what he says is this. He says, your life is always moving in the direction of your most dominant thoughts. Your life is always moving in the direction of your most dominant thoughts. It is my set of attitudes, my set of beliefs. It is what fills my mind that is driving the direction of my life. The thoughts that we let in today are forming the life that we live in tomorrow. It's the thoughts that you have today. Your thoughts today are forming your life tomorrow. If you don't like the life that you are living now, guess what? It came out of thoughts that you were thinking yesterday. So if you want to change your tomorrow, all you have to do is begin to change the way you think about today. Change your set of attitudes, change your mindset today. And if you change your life today, you can change where you end up tomorrow. Sure, you can't change your destination overnight, but you can change your direction in a moment. You get to change your direction by changing the way that you think. And as you begin to change the direction of your thought, you begin to change the direction of your life. Your life is always moving in the direction of your most dominant thoughts. Tomorrow will never change until our thoughts do. I love what Mahatma Gandhi said. He said, a man is but the product of his thoughts. What he thinks, he becomes. We are simply the products of our thoughts. Whatever we think, we become. If we do not like who we are, chances are it came from some unhealthy thoughts. If our thoughts are unhealthy, guess what? Our life is going to be unhealthy. If our thoughts are unhealthy, our families are going to be unhealthy. Our classrooms are going to be unhealthy. Everything, because everything flows out of what we think. Your life is moving in the direction of your most dominant thoughts. Whatever we think, we become. See, so what happens many times is people say, well, I'm just waiting for things to change. No, you can't wait for things to change. You have to work for your thinking to change. So many times we get stuck in situations where we say, well, I'm just waiting until next year because this classroom is just so bad. I'm just waiting until the fall of 2019. I'm just waiting till I can get to this place. I'm just waiting until I can get this. I'm just waiting for things to change. And do you know the problem with that is that people wait their whole lives for things to change and it never changes because their thinking never changed. They're waiting for things to change, and a decade goes by, and they're waiting for something else to change. That people wait to just get married, and then they wait to just have kids, and they wait to just get that job, and then they wait till the kids are out of the house, and they just keep on waiting, and nothing changes. Why? Because we can't wait for things to change. We have to work for our thinking to change, because our life is always moving in the direction of our most dominant thoughts. So we have to ask ourselves, what is driving our thinking? How do we change our mindset? How do we change our mindset? I want to give you just an acrostic for the word mind. I hope that you can take this and use this, and I hope it will be beneficial for you as you move towards the end of 2019. How do you renew your mindset? The M for mind is meditation. Meditation. You have to fill your mind with the right stuff. You have to fill your mind with the right stuff. I am not changed by what I have access to. I am changed by what I allow to access me. We live in an age of access to information. We have unlimited access. Any person right now on the click of a button could have any book on their device. In a moment, in 10 seconds, we can access any of the great leadership books. We can reach any of the great education books. We can get access to anything. In the click, we can have it here in 10 seconds. But I am not changed by what I have access to. I am changed by what I allow to access me. It's my meditation. It's what I am thinking on. I have to make sure that I'm filling my mind up with the right thoughts. You see, the purpose of meditation is onefold. It is transformation. It is why we have to meditate on the right things, because I'm trying to become the best version of myself. And I cannot become the best version of myself if I am not thinking the best thoughts that I can think. I've got to think the right thoughts. I've got to meditate on the right things. So therefore, I've got to make sure the right stuff's getting in. If the right stuff doesn't get in, then the right stuff won't be able to stay in. Don't be fooled by what we have access to. We have to ask, what am I allowing to access me? How many books have I read? How many videos have I watched? What am I doing to put the right things in? Don't be fooled by what we have access to. Make sure that we are accessing the right thing. You see, as I change what I think about, I'll change the life that I'm living out. But it comes down to meditation. It comes down to meditation. Here's the I in mind. The I in mind is for investigation. Investigation. You got to think about what you think about. You got to think about what you think about. You know, too many people live their lives and they never think about what they think about. And they don't understand why they have such a crappy day, and they hit snooze 7 times, and after they hit snooze 7 times, they run out of the bed, they're in a rush, they're in a panic, they don't have what they need, they get to school, and they realize they got 2 different kinds of shoes on, like all kinds of, and it just, all these things go on, just on, and people don't stop to think about what they actually think about in the process. Go ahead.
I think he's just looking for somebody to come inside.
So we have to.
Okay. You're fine. Keep on.
You keep on. I do whatever I'm told here. I'm a good student. We have to think about what we think about. We have to ask ourselves, what do we think about on a regular basis? What are we thinking about when we think about our students? What do we think about when we think about our spouses? What do we think about when we think about our past? What do we think about when we think about our present? What do we think about when we think about our future? What are we thinking about? We have to be willing to investigate to find out what we are actually thinking about. If what I think about is setting the direction and the course of my life, then don't we think that what I'm thinking about ought to be investigated? What am I thinking about every day? What am I thinking about when I drive to work? What am I thinking about whenever I get here to school? What am I thinking about on my way home? What am I thinking about? Too many times we allow our minds to drift. And can I just tell you this? If you are not driving your mind, then your mind will be drifting. It's either drifting or being driven. It's one way or the other. And if you let your mind drift, I've never found anybody's mind that drifts to the positive. I've never found anybody that just drifted to the good. I've never found anybody that drifted to the best version of themselves. The only people that get to the best version of themselves is the people that drive them there. It's the only way. You don't drift there. And if you're not willing to investigate, then you never know what I'm actually thinking about. And so we have all of these bad days and all of these bad emotions and all these bad experiences, and we never stop to think, what am I thinking about? What am I thinking about? No, we have to investigate. You see, meditation makes sure that the right thing is getting in, but investigation makes sure that the wrong things are moving themselves out. I gotta investigate. I can't participate in stinking thinking. I cannot allow that negativity to stay in my mind. Why? Because I'm trying to live a positive life. I cannot live a positive life with negative thinking. So if I have negative thoughts in my mind, negative thoughts about myself, negative thoughts about my students, negative thoughts about my coworkers, negative thoughts about, I've got to remove the negative because I cannot have a positive existence with negative thoughts. But I don't discover that if I don't investigate. I've got to be willing to investigate. The N in mind stands for narration. So it starts with our meditation, making sure we put the right things in. It leads us to investigation, making sure that the wrong things are going out. And then it takes us to narration. What is narration? Narration is the story that you tell yourself about yourself and others. We tell ourselves stories about ourselves all the time. I'm the person that. I'm the person that backs away from the stage. I'm the person that stands back in the shadows. I'm the person that does this. I'm the person that does that. And we tell ourselves stories about other people. Our family members, other faculty members. We tell ourselves stories about other people. You see, that's your narration. That's the story that you are living out in your life. And whenever you start filling your mind up with the right things and investigating and moving the wrong things out, it helps you to tell the right stories. You know, I tell people all the time, you're not crazy if you talk to yourself. You're crazy if you don't. You're not crazy if you talk to yourself. They say, you're not crazy if you talk to yourself. You're only crazy if you answer yourself. I talk to myself and I answer myself, okay? You're not crazy if you talk to yourself. You're crazy if you don't. Why? Because here's the reason. If you don't talk to yourself, then you will live out your day under somebody else's narration. They'll tell you who you are. They'll tell you what you can achieve. They'll tell you who you can be. They will tell you how happy you ought to be. They'll tell you how afraid you ought to be, how anxious you ought to be, how nervous you ought to be, how scared you ought to be, how greedy you ought to be. Somebody else will tell you who you ought to be, and I'm not letting anybody else's narration become my limitation. I'm going to tell myself my own story about myself. But if I have not put the right things in and moved the wrong things out, then I will tell myself a flawed story. And if I tell myself a flawed story about myself, I will live out a dysfunctional existence. Got to make sure my narration is right. What story am I telling myself about myself? And what story am I telling myself about others? So if you have a problem giving people the benefit of the doubt, chances are you're telling yourself a bad story about other people. If you don't believe the best in other people, chances are you're telling yourself a flawed story about other people. You see, I got to make sure I'm getting the right things in my mind. I got to make sure I'm moving the wrong things out of my mind so that I can tell myself a pure and good story. Comes down to our narration. Here's the D as I get ready to wrap it up today, and that is deflection. Deflection. What is deflection? Deflection is refusing access to what doesn't belong. Refusing access to what doesn't belong. Deflection starts first with detection. Because what you need to know is that everything in life is trying to give you some type of emotion. The news is trying to give you an emotion. They're trying to create an emotion of fear. Why? Because if you're afraid, you keep watching. Guess what happens if you keep watching the news? They keep making money. The higher their ratings go, the more money advertisers pay for those commercial spots. And so they will feed you with all kinds of fear because they want your attention. You need to know what advertisements as you go down the road, the billboards and everything that pops up. And now there's sponsored ads on Facebook and on Instagram, sponsored ads on everything. What are they trying to say? They're trying to say, man, you need this so that you can be complete. You need this in your life so that you can be what you always wanted to be. If you just had this pair of shoes, and if you just had that dog, and if you just had that house, if you just had that, then you would finally be happy. And they're trying to give you emotion of always wanting something else to be content. You have to know they're always feeding you. Everything, news media, advertisements, and even people that you come in contact with. They're trying to feed you their negativity. They're trying to feed you their cynicism. They're trying to feed you their doubt. They're trying to feed you their frustration. They're trying to feed you all of these things around the coffee pot and everywhere. They're trying to feed you all this stuff. And so you have to develop a pattern of I detect what is trying to happen right now. I detect this fear is trying to get into my brain. I detect this anxiety and worry is trying to get into my brain. I detect this negativity. And once I detect it, then I can deflect it and I can say, no, you will not have any access into this space because this space right here belongs to me and this space is determining the quality of my life and I refuse to let anything cause me to live below the quality of life that I can live. Deflection. But too many times we just have invitation. We just let it all come in. We just let the news media come in. We let what our relatives say come in. We let what we read on Facebook come in, and we don't have any deflection. And then we wonder. We wonder why we're frustrated, angry, upset. We wonder why we're living out dysfunctional lives. We wonder why our dreams aren't coming to pass. We wonder why we feel stuck. We wonder why we're not the best version of ourselves. We wonder why, and it's because we've let everybody else is nasty. We've let everybody else's ugly, nasty, deflating, negative, depressing thoughts into our space. Here's what I can tell you about your job. You have one of the hardest jobs in America. That's what I can tell you about your job. You have one of the most challenging jobs in America. And this is what I can tell you, that if your mind is... My mind's about to not be right. We get disconnected one more time. If your mind is not right, if your mind is drifting, if your mind is not set on the right things, if your mind is not where it needs to be, if you are not thinking the thoughts that you need to think, listen to me, the students in your classroom don't have a chance. A team will never be greater than the coach, and a classroom will never be greater than the teacher. It won't happen. We must make sure that our mind is right. And you know that nobody is responsible for your thinking but you. We can't put anybody else in charge of our thinking. Now, wouldn't it be great if we could put somebody else in charge? Wouldn't it be great if we could blame somebody else? Wouldn't it be great? Nobody's responsible in charge of your thinking but you. And you got to get your mind right. And whenever you start getting your meditation right, whenever you start being willing to investigate your thinking, whenever you begin to change the story that you're telling yourself about yourself and others, and whenever you develop a pattern of detection and deflection, and you prevent the spiral, because we all know the cycle that we go through. We all know that cycle. We all know when we pass this place, we have this thought. Whenever we see that post, we have this thought, and it takes us on a spiral. But if you can learn to recognize the cycle, and you can detect it and deflect it, then you don't have to go on the spiral that you've always gone down. You don't have to go all the way to the bottom. No, you can deflect it up on the top and say, I refuse to go down there. I'm not living that way anymore. And if you can get control of your mind, then you can take the best control you can take of your classroom. Every day, you come to the school, you have 20, 30 kids that are looking at you. And they're looking at you for direction. And they're looking at you for help. They're looking at you for hope. They're looking at you to say, hey, tell me. Everything all right? Okay. I'm getting a little nervous, okay? I'm not gonna lie. Everything okay? All right. What are you doing? It's not me, I promise. Yeah, okay, good. As long as we got a plan, right? We do have a plan. And I'm doing my best to stay focused up here. That was hard. Hey, let me just say, your students are looking at you. They're looking at you. And they need you to be the best version of yourself. They need you to give them hope, because you might be the only person in their life that can give them hope. They need you to love them, because there might not be anybody else in their life that's going to love them the way that you can love them. They're looking at you because they need to know that there is a way out for them. They're looking at you because maybe they need to know that it doesn't have to end the way that it ended for their mom, for their dad. Maybe they're looking at you to just tell them, hey, you know what, maybe they can achieve, maybe they can accomplish, maybe they can go to college. Maybe it's never dawned on them that they would be able to do something like that, and they're looking at you, and they're just looking for somebody to validate them, somebody to give them value, somebody to love them, somebody to encourage them, somebody to give them hope. But let me tell you, if your mind is not right, you cannot give them the best, because you're not your best. So I leave you today with a challenge for these next 3 days, for these next 4 weeks as we close out 2018. Listen, don't throw these weeks away. Don't throw these days away. Don't just count these days. It's just the holidays. It's going to be fun. We're getting to the end of the year. No, don't get in the habit of just coasting to the end of the year. No. Because these weeks might be the most important weeks in your student's life. These next 3 days might be the 3 most important days of their life. And you've got to make sure that your mind and your thoughts are where your mind and your thoughts need to be, so that you can give them the best version of yourself, so that you might give them the hope that they need, so that they can face everything in their life and rise. It's not just about you facing everything and rising. It's about you inspiring them to face everything in their life and rising too. And if they see you rise, guess what? They'll believe they can rise. If they'll see you face everything, then they'll be willing to face everything. You see, facing everything is all about courage. And courage is something that you have, and you can give it away. It's literally what encourage means. It's when I take what is in me and I give it to you. That's why we call it encourage. I take my courage and I put it in you. They can face everything because you'll give them the courage to face it. And they can rise because you're going to teach them how to think. You're going to teach them how to put the right things in and get the wrong things out. You're going to teach them how to tell them a story and narration about themselves, so that they will not live at the narration of their mom, the narration of their family. No, they're going to live at your narration, because you're going to tell them a story about what is possible, and they will live out what's possible because you told them a story that it was possible for them, and your narration will cause them to rise, and you will teach them how to deflect negativity, and you will teach them how to deflect discouragement, and you will teach them how to deflect depression, and you will teach them how to deflect despair and hopelessness, and you will teach them how to deflect those things. And as you teach them how to deflect those things, guess what you're helping them? You are helping them to rise to heights that they never dreamed possible. See, this is the year of fear, and you thought it was the year of fear just for you. It's not the year of fear for you, it's the year of fear for every person that walks in your classroom. Because you're telling them you can have the courage to face everything. And no matter how dark it might look today, you can still rise above it, because your life will move with your thinking. And each and every one of you can teach them how to elevate their thinking so that they can elevate their life and live out their dreams. Each and every one of you can do that. And I want you to know that I'm praying for this school every day. As a church, we're praying for you every day, because we know the difference that you are making in this community. And I want to tell you, don't stop. And I want to tell you, don't coast for the rest of this year. This might be the most important season of a kid's life. Stay focused on what matters. Get your mind right and help them get their mind right so that they can face everything and rise to new heights. I believe it's possible for you, and I believe it's possible for them. All right?
Right.
Everything okay? Please give us a report.
I know you're all gonna wanna know.
Yeah, please. I was ready under the table.
So there
I was
was
ready.
a young man that apparently had run away from his mother with special needs, but he
Okay.
was making some serious accusations about his mother. So I called the police. The police came and got him, and they're taking care of it.
So we're all safe.
Just another moment in the day.
Hey, that's why we face everything
Everything.
and rise. Face everything. And thank y'all so much for listening.